Hey guys, how's it going? Today we're going to do the unboxing and a brief look at the Lenovo ThinkPad 25th Anniversary Edition. And this computer is a subject of much discussion online, especially among ThinkPad enthusiasts. A lot of them don't like it. First of all, the price is very high. It's $1,900. It's meant to be a retro-style ThinkPad with modern internals. So the outside is supposed to look like a retro ThinkPad. Inside is supposed to be, the latest GPU and CPU and stuff. A lot of people don't like it because it's not retro enough for them. A lot of the retro ThinkPad users don't think it's retro enough for them. They didn't get a lot of the features that they requested, and a lot of the modern PC users didn't think that the internals were modern enough. So this is kind of a compromised PC. But I'm gonna go over a bit later about why I didn't think it was that bad of a deal as other people think, and why I went ahead and bought it. First of all, no one buys this ThinkPad without having, well, this ThinkPad is mostly meant to be for ThinkPad enthusiasts, people who really care about this brand, all the way back to the old IBM days when IBM first made the ThinkPad in 1992. And this is kind of paying tribute to a lot of the old ThinkPads and stuff. So this ThinkPad is meant to be marketed to those who have a strong association with the ThinkPad brand, and I'm really no different. I'm a pretty big ThinkPad fan. I bought a lot of ThinkPad books. This book is a book about the ThinkPad X300, released in 2008, which a lot of people feel is one of the best ThinkPads ever made. And Lenovo themselves actually put the X300 on their little showcase. They have this little showcase going on their website of all the different innovative and cool ThinkPads that were released, and the X300 was one of them. I have this book that goes over how that ThinkPad was designed. I also have an older book. I think this was from 2000, about this was when IBM still controlled the ThinkPad brand, about the history of ThinkPad as well. So I'm kind of a ThinkPad enthusiast. I really like ThinkPads a lot. I think next to MacBook, they're probably the strongest brand of computers. Actually, ThinkPad goes back way before MacBook, actually, but MacBook has a pretty strong brand and identity, and I think ThinkPad is even more identifiable than the MacBook is. And this is actually my very first ThinkPad, which I bought in 2013. I know that a lot of people bought their first ThinkPads maybe in the 90s or early 2000s. For me, it was a little bit later, mostly because ThinkPads are pretty expensive. But I managed to get this one in 2013, and it was actually pretty good laptop for me. You can see this is the X240 model, by the way, part of the X series. You can see how damaged this is. I've used this computer for a very long time, and compared to my other computers, it holds up really well, which is one of the reasons why I began to appreciate the ThinkPad brand a lot after that. Compared to other computers, it's very, very durable and reliable, and it comes with like 3 years warranty standards, so I think that's a lot better than a lot of other brands. This is the chiclet keyboard here, this modern style chiclet keyboard that got a lot of people really polarized. When this keyboard first came out, I believe on the X230, which was back in 2012. So around like 2012, I think Lenovo switched their keyboard from the old style keyboard. We'll see this computer actually have the old style keyboard when I open it up. But this is the new style keyboard that was in place after 2012. They changed. This keyboard used to be a 7-row keyboard, and this is a 6-row keyboard now with chiclet style keys, which is the more MacBook style, Sony style keys. That is basically on every modern computer these days, every modern laptop, right? This trackpad is also not very popular among ThinkPad users because it's a one-button touchpad. They didn't have a separate click button here, which is very annoying. Gladly, they changed this back after this year, I believe. This is the X240. The next generation, they actually changed this back to actually physical buttons, but the left and right click for the trackpad itself remains. So these two are actually not meant for the trackpad. This is meant for the track point up here. There's supposed to be 2 more bottom buttons right here for a total of actually 6 buttons, I believe. This middle one as well. So 6 buttons were originally on this trackpad, but they went back to the 3 for the track point, but they still kept this whole clickable trackpad thing. They don't have these physical buttons beneath here anymore, and some people miss that, which I understand. But when I use this computer, I found the clickable trackpad to be alright, I guess because I was used to modern computers. But I can see why it's kind of like why people don't like this keyboard and this trackpad, because it's a very big change from what it was before. So anyways, this is the X240, the first computer, the first ThinkPad computer that I bought back in 2013. Still works and everything, no problem. It's got, I think it had 20 hours of battery life with this extended battery. When I first bought it, it was like way beyond, the battery life was way beyond any other laptop I had. And then I bought, this is my current Lenovo, the X1 Yoga, which I think is a great computer as well. Again, the chiclet style keyboard remains, but they have physical track point buttons now, physical track point buttons, and these buttons, of course, are gone. They're never going to come back, I think. That's already been done away with. But I'm okay with this clicky trackpad here. I think people are just gonna have to get used to that. But a lot of people miss the old keyboard as well, which is probably the reason why I got this laptop, which I'm gonna unbox for you guys. And yeah, the X1 Yoga is a really great laptop, OLED screen, OLED display, and everything. Really pretty amazing and pretty sturdy and everything. So, anyways, this is my current ThinkPad. So I'm a pretty big ThinkPad user. And that's part of the reason why I got this 25th anniversary ThinkPad. Let's open it up and see what's inside. That was just a little bit of a brief history of my association with the ThinkPad brand. Let's open it up. Okay. So inside you have this kind of bento style kind of look, bento box style kind of look. And the reason for that, for this kind of packaging, is because the original ThinkPad was meant to be styled like a bento box, and when the user opens up the laptop, it's kind of revealing the contents inside. So that's what they did here. See here, it comes out of the box like that. Let's see like that. Okay, so we get this ThinkPad Design Spirit and Essence book. This is, I believe, by designers of the ThinkPad, David Hill. Yeah. Dedication to Richard Sapper. Yep, definitely one of the better designers, industrial designers. And it goes through all the different keyboards and different ThinkPads that were released throughout the years, and it commemorates the 25th anniversary. So that's a great little booklet for you ThinkPad buffs out there, which I am. And 3 track point nubs here. They have 3 different ones because the old ThinkPads, they have different kinds of track points, I guess. There's like retro style, there's like a more modern style. This is a more modern style one. I believe this is the older one that was used before. And then this is like a recessed one. So you can choose whichever one fits your needs the best. Yeah, you can see the textures there. I personally like this one, the modern one's fine. But some people might like the old one. But yep, you get that. And then, this is the ThinkPad itself, I believe. Do I have anything else in here? Okay, I get the Lenovo charger. This is the standard charger that comes with every Lenovo. They all use the same charger, which means that if you use multiple Lenovo products, most likely you really only need to bring one charger, because they can every Lenovo product, at least to my knowledge, all the ThinkPads that I've used all use the same charger. So it's all interchangeable, which is great. What else is in here? Okay, you have a basic safety warranty guide here. Not much else. What's in here? Okay, you have the battery slice here. By the way, this has a removable battery. That's one of the better things about ThinkPads, that even the Dell Latitude and the HP EliteBook, which are the ThinkPad competitors, don't really come with removable batteries. Well, most of their models don't. So, but ThinkPads, the T series, X series, and P series, which are the core series, come with removable batteries, which is great. So if your battery ever runs out, swap for a new one. You can get extended one too. I think that's it, right? Yeah, right. Okay, and that's not much else here. Okay. So let's actually look at the computer itself, shall we? Okay, so this is the ThinkPad 25th anniversary, the TP25. All right. All right. One of the first things you notice is this retro style ThinkPad logo. This originally was the IBM logo. The red, green, and blue was the IBM logo, and it was colored like that. And this is kind of a compromise, I guess, between the old IBM logo and the modern ThinkPad logo. So they have that retro style design here. So you open it up, you get this very beautiful retro style keyboard. And if you compare it, let me go on and show you the difference here. It's the right. So this is a retro style keyboard. This is the 7-row keyboard that was common on ThinkPads before 2012, before they switched over. And here is the chiclet style keyboard. See the difference between the two. So chiclet keyboard on the right, retro style keyboard on the left. I think they both have their pros and cons. A lot of people like the chiclet style keyboard because it's easier to clean. It looks, I guess, more modern style. They think maybe it's more ergonomic in some way. A lot of people like the chiclet style. I believe that's the reason why some people bought the MacBooks back in the days, because they have this kind of keyboard. And remember, back in the old days, guys, most computers came with this kind of keyboard. But now every computer comes with a chiclet keyboard. Back then, it was only Sony and Apple that made these kind of chiclet keyboards, but now everyone's doing it. So this technically is just the common style keyboard it was popular before 2012, right? Actually, Alienware still makes these kind of keyboards. They're not chiclet style. The keys are pressed right up against each other. The default track point button is I think they're using the first kind right here. Right. So you see the few knobs, by default it's using the first one, so you can swap it out if you want. This one is like the old classic style, I believe, which feels good. It feels nice. I might want to swap it out for the more modern style though. This track point clicking buttons, they seem to be different. I think they're more grooved or something. I don't know if that's just me. They're like more grooved. Here, these X1 Yoga, you see this? There's a soft slope on these ones, right? So the trackpad and the track point buttons seem to be a little bit different. This one is smaller and this one is just slightly sloped. These ones have a very pronounced curve on it. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but well, the skin is kind of covering my X1 Yoga. But anyways, this slope is more pronounced. It's more curved, and this button here seems to be a little bit different as well. It has this little bumpy edge here that you don't have on the X1 Yoga. This X1 Yoga is from last year, by the way, 2016. Yeah, this doesn't have that slopey curve. This one does have that slopey curve right here. So I wonder if that's also the retro aspect of this ThinkPad. They made the buttons different as well, so that's pretty interesting. This trackpad click is also different as well. Interesting. It's more of a softer click. That's interesting as well. Okay, so I see. This one is more of a harder click. This one seems to be more of a softer click, and it's more rubberized. Okay, so that's different. And then of course the keyboard's very different. It's the old 7-row key keyboard here. You have grooves here for your fingertips, which is nice. Okay, the specs on this guy. It's running a Core i7-7500U. I know a lot of people are disappointed it's not running 8th gen quad-core CPU. It has dedicated GeForce Graphics 940MX. And a lot of people are disappointed it doesn't have the new MX 150 graphics. I think the reason for that, now I'm disappointed about those things too, don't get me wrong. I think the reason why Lenovo did not put the MX 150 and the 8th gen CPUs on this is because they usually do their product refreshes early in the year, like around January or February-ish, well, in the first quarter of the year. And this laptop, because it came on the 25th anniversary of the ThinkPad, which was October 5th, 1992, this ThinkPad had to be announced on October 5th, 2017 to be the 25th anniversary, right? If they had to meet that date and they haven't refreshed their lineup yet with the 8th gen CPUs, then they pretty much had no choice but to use the older CPUs on this and GPUs on this. So that's probably why. Right now, all the MX150 computers are just shipping. So I think what happened is Lenovo didn't have enough time to put those inside this computer. They had to release this computer right now for the 25th anniversary. They didn't have enough time to refresh it with the 8th gen CPUs and the MX150. That's going to be on the computers next year for sure, but not this year. So I think that's why they just couldn't get it out this computer out in time. So yeah, that's kind of a shame, but that's how it is, I guess, in the business world. You had to order those things in bulk. You had to order them in volume, and they can't order just MX150s and 8th gen CPUs just for this computer, which is a limited run, right? They have to do that for all their models at the same time. They have to refresh all their models, and that's not coming until early next year. So that's why they have older generation processors and GPU on this. I know a lot of people are disappointed, but that's how it works, I guess. Another thing is people are disappointed about the display. It's a 16:9 display. It's not a 4:3 display. Yes, 4:3 display is probably better for getting business done. The 16:9 is more, this aspect ratio is more for watching movies and consumer stuff. A lot of people are disappointed about that. The reason I think Lenovo, well, actually they gave a reason on their YouTube channel. They said in order to produce the 4:3 aspect ratio screen, it's a custom screen, they would have to order it in bulk and in massive quantities. And I guess it just wasn't financially feasible for this computer to be done with a 4:3 display, which I guess I kind of understand, but then again, like, why wouldn't they just mass produce a model with a 4:3 display? They don't think that there's a market out there for people who want 4:3 display computers? Like, to me, Lenovo should have just mass produced, not just like this one-off kind of computer here. They should have mass produced this kind of computer, just one model, because they have like, I don't know, like 100 different models of computers, right? Just mass produce one model with this retro keyboard and a 4:3 display. You can mass produce it, order in quantity, and see how people respond, see how the market responds, you know? It doesn't have to be like every computer, just produce one model and you can mass produce it. And I'm sure a lot of people would buy something like that. But I guess Lenovo wasn't sure about that. They're kind of just testing the waters with this model. So I guess the 4:3 display was not in. Think lights are not in. The reason they gave for that, they have the backlight keyboard instead. The reason they didn't give for the Think lights is because this display hinge here is different. They used to have this upper lip on this display lid, and they don't have enough space now to put a Think light in. The older models like the X220 and X230, they used to have a protruding lip here because the display was thicker, and they could add Think lights in, but it wasn't thick enough to add those lights in. So I guess the only thing you're upselling for is the retro keyboard and the dedicated graphics. If you configure a normal T470 laptop to this configuration, it has 512 gigabyte solid state drive. It has 16 gigs of RAM, the Core i7-7500 U, and I believe it has mobile broadband as well. I'm gonna open this up and check on it. I'm pretty sure it does have mobile broadband as well. So that's WWAN. And when you get all those upgrades going, you can actually configure a T470 with the discounts at about $300 less than this computer. So for $300, you're basically paying for this retro keyboard and for the dedicated graphics, which I think is not so bad. Some people are saying that, oh, this computer is a horrible deal. It's terrible internals and stuff for the price. Well, it's not actually. If you configure a T470, you upcharge $300 for the keyboard and dedicated graphics, then that's basically it. And $300 might seem like a lot, but let's remember that Apple upcharges $300 for their touch bar, which I think this 7-row keyboard is a lot more useful than that stupid touch bar. And Microsoft Surface Book, you had to pay $200 or $300 more for that dedicated GPU option. So it's really not out of the realm to suggest that $300 is not. It's a reasonable price for the 7-row keyboard and for the dedicated graphics. It's actually a reasonable upgrade price. For me, anyways. That's my opinion. If you look at other comparable notebooks like the MacBook Pro and the Microsoft Surface Book, it's actually in line with those prices. And for the build quality you're getting, you know, this is a freaking ThinkPad. You know, it's got a good build quality, military spec tested, spill proof, water resistant keyboard or whatever, extended battery. You know, you get all that. So in my opinion, it's not that much of an upcharge. And people are screaming about this like it's really expensive and stuff. Go take a look at the Surface Book. Go take a look at the MacBook Pro, and then if you compare it, it's not that big of a deal. The $1,900 is actually in line with those other computers. So yeah, let's go ahead. I'm gonna, of course, install Windows 7 on this, and I'm gonna do some gaming and stuff and see how this computer holds up. Right, I opened up the laptop, and a little bit of a disappointment here, guys. There is no WWAN. Yeah, what happened? There is no Sierra Wireless chip here. You know, I thought there was going to be a 4G LTE mobile broadband card here. There isn't. That's a little bit of a disappointment, because when I first saw on the website, it said WWAN was included. Then I looked at notebookcheck.com, and I looked at their pictures, and you know, they had the Sierra Wireless card here. I have no idea why it's not on my machine. Yeah, no idea. That's a little bit bummer. Well, I guess that means this laptop is not so great of a deal after all. So everything I just said, I thought it was including the mobile broadband, which is a $200 option. But if they don't include it, then it's a $500 upcharge. And at $500, it's, I don't know. I mean, $300 upcharge is fine, I think. $500, I'm a little bit iffy on, you know, for the retro keyboard, the 7-row keyboard, and the dedicated graphics. I'm not sure $500 is a good option. I would go for $300. I'm not sure about $500. Okay, we do have 2 DIMM slots here. One of them is actually unused, which means that this one must be a 16GB RAM module, which is kind of rare actually. So you can actually upgrade this quite a bit, maybe to 32 gigs. It's 2 DIMM slots, only one of them is used. That's the other interesting thing I found. But yeah, a little bit disappointing. It does not come with the 4G LTE mobile broadband card. Okay, well that's kind of a bummer. I thought it came with it. But yeah, I guess that means it's a $500 upcharge for this machine instead, which I guess might be the limited edition upcharge, because they only sold a limited amount of these, 5,000. So, but it's very strange indeed. I think it's very strange that the review models that were sent out did come with the mobile broadband chip, but my machine didn't have it. So that's a little bit strange. Alright guys, so a little bit of disappointment about the mobile broadband, but I had to order it separately online for like $70. If you have any M2 SSDs, you can also put them in the same slot as well, so just remember that. But yeah, another thing is I couldn't install Windows 7 on this because the driver support for the T470 only goes back to the Windows 8.1, which is a little bit disappointing as well. I think having Windows 7 here would really make it authentic 2012 style PC, you know, or 2011 style. But what can you do? This wallpaper comes by default. It's a quote by the great industrial designer Richard Sapper, who designed the first ThinkPads for IBM, and it's fine. But yeah, would I pay the $500 upcharge for this laptop over the regular T470 or T470p? It's really up to how you feel about the keyboard. And the dedicated graphics are fine, but this keyboard, I don't think you're gonna find the 7-row keyboard on any other laptop anymore. This is pretty much the only one, so that's pretty unique. And after using it for a bit and typing on it and stuff, I can tell you that this keyboard seems to be a lot better than the Chiclet keyboard, in my opinion. The keys have a little bit deeper travel, and they just feel a lot more firmer. Like the Chiclet keyboard, you know, they use the scissor switches and stuff. It feels spongy compared to this one. This keyboard, especially the arrow keys, like spacebar, all these keys here, they just feel firmer. I can't really describe it any better than that. It's just, this keyboard is better than the regular Chiclet keyboard, I think. I'm not sure if it's that $500 better, but it is better. And the contoured track point buttons here are different as well, and they do feel firmer as well. So that's pretty interesting as well. That's actually different than the X1 Yoga that I have. These trackpad buttons do feel a little bit different. And yeah, having the dedicated mute buttons for the microphone and the speakers, as well as dedicated volume buttons, is also really nice as well. And of course, having the big delete key, the big escape key. By the way, there's no FN lock anymore. You don't really need it that much anymore if you have dedicated buttons for all this. Yeah, that's all there as well. All the function keys and stuff on the top row, and it's just it's a much better layout. And I don't know why Lenovo actually switched over to the chiclet keyboard when this keyboard is actually much better. I know the chiclet keyboard looks better. It's more consumer friendly. It's supposed to be more ergonomic and stuff, but just the amount of, you don't get as much travel, by the way, as the old retro keyboard style, but you do get a lot better travel than the regular chiclet style keyboards. And yeah, the feeling is more firm and stuff. I don't know why they went to the chiclet design, because this keyboard is really nice. Blue enter key, of course, very retro style. This screen here is not too bright. It's around 250 nits ish at most. So that might be a disappointment to some people. It is a touchscreen. It is a matte touchscreen. So it might not look like a touchscreen, but it actually is. I'm not sure why they went with a touchscreen, because it's the business PC, but anyways, you have it. Also, you have a fingerprint reader, of course. You also have an infrared camera, so you can use Windows Hello multiple ways. You can either log in with your face recognition, or you can use the fingerprint sensor. I prefer using the fingerprint sensor. But yeah, that's about it. Track point buttons here, nicely contoured, a little bit different than the regular track point buttons, but I like it. It seems to be a lot more easier to press, I guess, or a lot more. Yeah, it's just more contoured, so it's a little bit easier to press for me than the regular track point buttons. But yeah, that's about it. Those of you who really like this retro keyboard will be happy with this machine, and maybe you guys feel that the $500 is a reasonable cost for upgrading to this keyboard. Who knows? Let's do some gaming here. Actually, this is a 940MX. I know this is not the main purpose of this machine, but I can show you guys exactly how this machine performs for a game like Overwatch, for example. You can't play AAA titles under really high resolutions. This is the 1080p display, by the way. You're not going to find the 1440p OLED on here, which I would have liked to see, but anyways, you're stuck with this IPS 1080p display. At least it's better than a TN. But yeah, you can't play AAA titles like on really high resolutions and settings, but you can play casual games like Overwatch. That's all fine and stuff, and you get good FPS on this using the 940MX. And by the way, this is the version of the 940MX that uses GDDR5 RAM, not the GDDR3. So this should be better than the some other laptops running the 940MX, I think. Alright, so this is Overwatch using my favorite character, Diva, and it seems to be fine. There's no lag or anything. Seems to be okay. Of course, if there's a lot of players and stuff, you might have to turn down the graphics a little bit, but at least this seems to be pretty smooth in practice mode, at least. Alright, anyways, that's Overwatch on the ThinkPad TP25. Seems to be okay. No lag or anything, of course. We'll have to see in a real world game. You'll probably have to. The frame rates won't be quite as good as this, but it'll still be pretty good. Considering this is a casual game, it's not a super demanding game or anything. So yeah, guys, that's the ThinkPad 25th anniversary. You can tell there's a special labeling right here. 20 anniversary edition 25. And yeah, if you guys really want this retro style keyboard, you had to pay an upcharge of about $500 for this keyboard and dedicated graphics. I think those are the people who probably want this computer. Otherwise, you probably go for the cheaper T470 or T470p or P series or an X series laptop. But yeah, if you really want a T470 with dedicated graphics, you don't want the heftier weight of the T470p, or you like this retro keyboard, or both, then you pretty much have no choice but to pay the upcharge for this. So yeah, this ThinkPad 25th anniversary. One other thing is the backlighting on this keyboard is a little bit different than normal keyboards. Usually you press FN and spacebar to do that. Not on this machine. This is a little bit different. You press FN and page up, and the reason for that is because originally I believe this was the ThinkLight activation, and they wanted people to be able to find their way in the dark. You know, if you want the backlight, then you're working in the dark, right? So the bottom left and the top right should be easy to find in the dark. That's why they have those as the activation. Now I think on most computers FN and spacebar is the standard, but they changed it back for this one. But yeah, all the other nuances are here. The blue enter key, big escape, the big delete key are all here. Dedicated buttons for volume, mute, everything. You have different choices for the track point nub. The track point buttons are a little bit more contoured. Even the contouring of the keyboard is slightly different than the chiclet style. And yeah, if you guys really want this keyboard and you like to have the dedicated graphics and a T470 body, then this is pretty much what you have to go for. And that's like a $500 upcharge. But yeah, it's up to you if you decide that's worth it or not. For me, I'm not sure yet, but for now I'm keeping this computer. I think I like this keyboard a lot. So for me, I think it's good for now, because yeah, you pay a lot more upcharge on a lot of other manufacturers if you think about it. And this is limited edition, so of course they're not going to make too many of these. And if anything, I don't think the resale value of this is going to be as bad as the other ThinkPads, at least because I think this is a limited edition. So that's my thoughts on this. That's the ThinkPad Anniversary 25, and that's it. Thanks for watching. Alright, and I didn't go over the ports on this because, well, it's pretty much the same as the T470p, but I can just do it briefly here. On this side you have charger, USB 2, Thunderbolt 3, replacing the mini display port. There's no mini display port here. No VGA, sorry guys. And smart card reader is not here for some reason. That's interesting. Yeah, no smart card reader. That's a head scratcher. Then over here you have another USB 3 and headphone jack right here, HDMI, another USB 3, Ethernet, and a SD. And that's a total of 8 ports, which I think is pretty good, considering modern PCs these days have very few ports, like the MacBook Pro. This is actually a Pro machine. Yeah, not the MacBook Pro with only like 2 measly ports. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know if you have any comments down below, and like my videos if you like them, or subscribe if you like my stuff.